So please download the template for a case study, right? It has the subheads. If you remember the previous case study, it was not shared with you. Unless you've jumped the ladder and you've come to a point directly here, you would have got this case study, but it's coming in sequence here because, the reason I mentioned earlier. I wanted you to put the thinking hat and think a little more openly at what goes and comprises these things, so that when you see the real stuff, what it typically is, because there is no real rules for these things, but there's a generalized rule which you can use and adopt for a case study, okay? Because the key ingredients are probably the same, but largely it depends on the topic, the niche, and what the solution that you're finding for, okay? With that, please download this, and then we will now go through the case study that you will be solving, okay, or creating out of. So here's the case scenario and the problem statement that you will take and run with to solve a case study, right? And this is for change management as a focused approach. So here's what it is. There's a telecom major in Southeast Asia, and this is a real case example, guys, okay? So please understand, there's a solution which has been given and been worked upon and was a very successful activity. Hence, some of the things have been derived from there, by the way, okay? So the revenue of this telecom major is about $6 billion. The group owns about 5 different companies, and maybe 6th one now, and these are spread out in different countries within Southeast Asia, okay? The management issue, okay, so management here is actually a VC. They have acquired these 5 different companies and formulated a single telecom group, if you will, but they still remain to be exclusive of sorts at that point of time when I'm talking this, and they operate in different countries in their own respective way also, right? And sometimes at the localized language also. Now, with that said, so to give you a hint, this is like an official term, if you will, right? Where a VC is managing the whole show, and also the CEO, chairman, and everything, right? But over a period of time, they have changed, okay? But that is then, and that is when the case study is coming from. So management at that point of time does not receive business reports appropriately. Now this is the problem statement. Why? Because there's a delayed reports and the formats are different, number one. Number two, the non-standardized sourcing and procurement reports, right? This is, the telecom typically deals with a lot of sourcing and procurement activities for the people who don't know, right? So that typically becomes a major hub of sorts for financing related reports and other factors. So this, the sourcing and procurement division per se becomes very important for all the telecom hubs or the 5 companies that are formulating this. So, and if the reports are not in the right format or of different formats and it's delayed, it creates a lot of chaos for financial reports at the organization, which is the amalgamation level, right? So the operators, that is the CFO in this case, or the COO in this case, his view is that different sourcing and procurement platforms are being used in different companies. That is number one. Number two, the CEOs of 5 different companies have different cultural and operational activities. Okay, what does this mean? And now, when these companies were acquired, each was run by a respective CEO who remains to be, or by an owner who remains to be, who is now a CEO of the larger group, and all of them work in a very different cultural setup, and they work in a different way, and hence the formats and outcome of the reports are different. And then they have the different cycles of operation of the fiscal cycles. So hence the delays and various factors that come into existence. All right. So that's a view of the operational team, which is COO or a CIO or even a CFO in this case. So there is a missing single source of truth and the bird's eye view. So there's no common database from which they can source out reports and take it and show it to the larger management where they can take decisions. So that is the problem here, okay, with these ingredients. Now what you need to do is find a solution for this, right? And with that solution, what is the change management activity that comes into existence? And with that change management, what is the system that you will use? And based on that, you will suggest how it will help and what will be the objective and so the outcome that you will anticipate and a rough time frame for doing that. Okay. And once you do that, I'll give you what the real one happened as. Okay. With some of the things that we achieved. All right. On that note, so we'll discuss this and we take the top 3 which come out, which we feel, and there'll be emails and the links that will be sent where you can send it to. and we'll discuss this in the right circle, and the right ones will get rewarded. Out of those three, everybody else during the circle will discuss and mention which really turns out and is the best one, and that is where the rewards and recognitions will take place. With that, we will finalize and go to the fourth day, where we conclude with consulting as a business. That will be a shorter one, but with all this knowledge, you will be able to imbibe that very soon. I'll see you there on the fourth day as a final day. Bye.